Hey everybody, welcome to Miller's Military Moments, where I am your host, Master Sergeant Jason Miller. Master Sergeant for only about 25 more days until I sign out of the Army and retire and get to move on. Yes, I'm excited. It's been an incredible 20 years, and I'm really enjoying sharing my stories and moments, and those stories and moments from other people too. But I'm also excited about the next chapter and what's coming. So hey, episode 20 is delivering hope and fun, and I'm going to talk about something that happened in 2003 and doing something really special for the kids, the Iraqi children, how it came about and how we executed that and why I did it and stuff like that. So, but before we get into that, a couple of really cool announcements. So I did start a Buy Me a Coffee page. If you're not familiar with that, it's a way for listeners, supporters to interact with me in a different way and also financially support me and the show. So we have some pretty big visions for this show and where we're going, and other shows, and where we're going with this in the future. So I have a welcome message and updated some goals on there, and the goals are pretty big. I'm not gonna lie to you, they are pretty big. But if you don't, look to be big, if you don't look out to the future and dream big, you're never gonna be big. So I'm going for it. I have a vision, and I'm gonna work my tail off to provide great content for everybody and try to grow not only this show, but I have another show that I'm working on in the development stage that's going to be totally different than this, but it's going to be exciting, it's going to be good, it's going to be positive, and it's going to be fun to listen to and to be a part of as well. So if you want to support me financially and the future of this show, you most certainly can. And you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JAY Miller. That's my page. But you can also find the link on my website, millersmilitarymoments.com. And if you're on desktop, it's the top right. There's a little link there. On mobile, it's, scroll it down a little ways, and there'll be a link right there in the middle of the page. So it's pretty exciting. I'm excited about what's to come. And, sharing some great, to continue to share great moments from my time in the service and also others. I mean, we've had great response to Grant Belvin, who's been on the last couple episodes, and we're probably got 3 more episodes with him to tell his story about being in the Marine Corps. And so it's a lot of fun hearing about his adventures in some of the same places that I was, or same time periods. So, but different perspectives. So that's great. So, hey, we've got a lot of big things coming up in the show, and I appreciate everybody listening and the support and, sharing and telling all your friends. It's really, it means a lot to me, and I'm having a great time doing this, and it's a lot of fun. So to continue with our veteran owned small business shout out, today I want to focus on a company called Southern Pine Company. Started, founded, owned, created by some really good friends of ours. They're out in the western part of the country now. We've known them for years, and they are so creative, and really the key person behind this is a military spouse. So that's, another special thing about this business. It's not just veteran owned, it's the military spouse that she's, the creative person. I think, her husband probably does a lot of the manual labor and the wood cutting. He is so talented with his, construction and building and being able to create things. She has the mind and the creativity to come up with the designs, and they do custom, home decor, all kinds of things. So definitely check them out. Custom made stuff. Their best way to reach them is on Facebook. Southern Pine Company. So Southern Pine CO. And again, I'll have that link in the description on the YouTube channel, and then also in the podcast shows. And of course, it'll be on my website too. And in the show notes, there'll be a link to them. So on Facebook, though, you can search from Southern Pine Company, and company is CO. So Southern Pine CO, incredible custom-made home decor, supporting a small, business, military spouse and veteran team. They are wonderful people, customer service top notch, but the quality of their stuff is just phenomenal. So give them a look, give them a shot, and check them out. So they do some just amazing things. So all right, so moving on to today's episode, talk about delivering fun and hope. And what is that? What does that mean, especially as a soldier? And really, so I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about why I joined, what I thought it meant, and what I think it still means to be a soldier in the military, not just the Army, but be a service member in the United States military, and how this kind of came about. So, I have always thought like it's, not just honorable, but my duty to serve. And the reason, there's two main reasons. It's because since I'm able to, I want to do that. And because I believe that our military is necessary to defend our way of life. I do. And so I'm okay with, I do leave it up to the politicians and our country to decide where we go and what we do. But so that's the main reason is, I feel like, it's my duty to serve, to make sure that we have the ability to defend our way of life so that nobody can, turn us into something else or conquer us and take over. So, but that's, one part of it. So the other part is, because we can look at, well, how many times, have we actually been attacked? And of course, 9/11 was a major one, but it's not, I get it. We're not like Europe, and that, World War I and World War II, they just, people keep coming through and taking over, So I understand, that point, but the other side is that, I feel like I'm okay with serving in our military, which often gets sent to help those that can't help themselves. So we can't bring everybody into our country, right? We can talk about immigration and all kinds of craziness of what's going on in our country right now. But look, we can't bring them all to our country. But, and we don't necessarily need to go fight every, bad guy out there because some people can't do it. But sometimes there are times that are right to go help other human beings that just can't fight for themselves, to give them a chance to live however they want to live. So growing up, even through my teens, I felt like that was a noble cause and a legitimate reason. And yes, I was willing to die, pay the ultimate sacrifice to accomplish the mission of whatever it was they sent us to do. So I'm assuming that, our politicians and country would send us to do one of those things. Either one, it's to protect our nation, so destroy the enemy that's trying to come over and destroy us, or, help somebody that can't help themselves in a possible human rights situation where they're being killed or slaughtered or whatever the case may be. Now, I'm not going to say that that's exactly what every war we've been in, it falls into one of those two categories. We can debate that at another time. Afghanistan definitely was related to 9/11. Iraq was a different scenario. But as a junior soldier and someone that's in the military, so that was still my thought process, So here I'm being sent to Iraq. They have a dictator that's in charge that, has killed many of his people, gassed them, all kinds of stuff. Their country is rich in oil, but poor. The people are poor and I got to see this firsthand. So, you know, my thought is one, we're going over there and let's defeat the Iraqi army. And then, you know, I'm anticipating being viewed as a liberator in a way. And, you know, when you look back and you see, you know, Europe in World War I and II, when we would liberate certain areas, you know, be welcoming in, you know, that's kind of what I thought. And I know if you, and I felt like that, and especially in 2003, heading into 2004, with my interactions with the Iraqi people and how they welcomed us in. And then if you've listened to either one of the shows with Grant, you know, he mentioned that same thing. And, you know, he was there in the initial invasion as well. It's like, he definitely felt like there was that, you know, welcoming, we're glad you're here. You know, Saddam is really bad, and just, you know, so we hope it gets better. A little sidetrack. I mean, look, I didn't understand the religious and / political divisions in that country and in that part of the world as much as I should have, and as much as I do now. So, and I don't think our military or our government as a whole understood that, to be honest with you. They just didn't. They did not understand that taking that bad man out, which seems like a great idea, the chaos that was going to, you know, happen. So, you know, we just didn't know that. And going into it though, so here we are heading into this country and, you know, defeating the Iraqi army, the conventional Iraqi army, was not too tough. It wasn't too challenging, you know, which is why it led to, you know, the president at the time, I believe early May, landing on the aircraft carrier and saying mission accomplished. You know, so the tactical mission seemed to be accomplished. And then so now, you know, we turn to nation building. That means a lot of things, but yes, what can we do to make the people's lives better? We have a situation where we have a whole lot of people and equipment that could do a lot of things in this country in probably a short amount of time to make their lives better. We can't stay forever, right? Well, that's what we thought then, and 20 years later, here we are. Granted, I know we're still not in Iraq as much as we are Afghanistan, but same. So, you know, so that was our thought process. That's definitely my thought process. Like, you know, hey, you know, the enemy's defeated. I mean, I don't want to stay there a year. I'm not going to say that. That was not fun. And I did that twice. You know, being gone for 12 months is rough. Some people longer. They got extended to 15 months and whatever. But, so, you know, here I am, a junior soldier, you know, former English teacher, you know, so I have access to some friends at schools, you know, and what can I do to make an impact on, you know, the Iraqi people and the Iraqi children? You know, I'm not really sure. So I didn't have this planned when I, you know, went over there, when I left to go over there. I had no idea how anything was going to work or what was going to happen. So, you know, the other thing that I want to share with you too is like, look, 99.9% of all service members that I've ever dealt with, and probably 100%, but I just don't want to deal with absolutes, is, look, none of us are, most of us, I'll say again, we're not bloodthirsty killers. Okay, we're not, you know, have there been some tragic examples of maybe overuse of force? Sure. I'm not going to get into that. We can talk about the fog of war a lot too. So, but look, we're not bloodthirsty killers that are looking to just go wipe out a population and kill people. Most of us would rather not kill anybody, just to be honest with you, okay? But we have a job to do, and in our minds, it's, so somebody else higher in the chain of command has said this is so important that we're willing to put your life on the line. So, hey, I've raised my right hand and said I'll follow all orders of the officers pointed over me and the President of the United States of America. So, you know, hey, I trust them, right? So we're not, you know, we're not going over there to just shoot up, towns and kill people, and it is definitely not in our personality. Now, if that's what our job is to do because we got to defeat the enemy, hey, by all means, we will do whatever we have to do to accomplish that mission. A lot of times, accomplishing the mission and the bad things that we have to do that haunt us for a long time in our life are because we are doing it to protect our teammates to our left and right. I mean, honestly, that's kind of what it comes down to a lot of times. There's a great scene in Lone Survivor, if you've seen that movie, and where they're, all four are on the mountain and they're trying to figure out, what to do and what they're going to do. And I can't remember which one, but, he says, look, I care about you. I care about you. I care about you. And that's all I care about. And I want to make sure we all get home. So there's just a lot to that, to the American military service member, to that thought process. And so we, want to take care of each other. And it's not, we're not bloodthirsty killers. We're not, so we do have compassion. We are empathetic, and we do, a lot of things to help other people. And my story is just one example. I mean, there's so many other examples out there, but I'll tell you also from my experience too, that, the news media doesn't like these kind of stories for whatever reason. For the most part, they love the negative stories, or, the deaths, or, stuff like that. So, which is fine. I mean, well, not really, but there's so many other great stories and great things that we do out there in the world that we just need to bring a little bit more focus on. And I couldn't have done what I did without the support of so many people back home. So it really was a big team effort, and pretty exciting. So what I did was, I knew that soccer was a big sport in that part of the world, and many people probably know that. And it's in some areas it's the only sport they play. It's the only sport they're allowed to play, and they so soccer's huge. And so I thought, well, what if, I don't know, what if we could just get some soccer balls and maybe even some soccer shoes? Because so one of the things I saw driving through the towns and the villages, and anytime I went out, was they're playing soccer either barefooted with flip-flops and sandals. So if you see, you may have seen a lot of people in that part of the world wearing sandals and stuff like that, which for everyday stuff, I get it and I understand why. But to play soccer, it's pretty tough. And so why not be able to get them, some supplies and stuff to be able to maybe enjoy some free time and some soccer a little bit. So I wrote a letter home and wrote, to my wife and to my in-laws and to my dad, and, just said, hey, do you think maybe you could get a couple things and, maybe send them over here? And so, well, long story short, it exploded, and the people's generosity back in America was incredible. So much so that the person delivering the mail to us was, I felt like almost every day it was like 5 more boxes showed up of like soccer balls and soccer shoes. And it was like, the joke was, all right, mail time. Oh, it's just all for Miller. It's all for Miller today. And they're like, oh my gosh, you get all the mail, because of your boxes, none of our mail gets through, and they were just kidding. But so, and I know, my dad, Steve Miller, shout out Steve Miller, not of the Steve Miller Band, but he does like their music. But anyway, he worked really hard on collecting stuff, and, had some connections at the local credit union that helped them pay for shipping too, because you do have to pay for shipping when you ship boxes and stuff like that overseas to us. So there was a lot of expense in there. And so, it wasn't just my dad, but I mean, other people, worked hard and got donations and stuff like that too. But my dad put in some pretty good effort and work to get a lot of this stuff sent over. And so, I know they appreciated it and everyone's work. And so it really turned into this huge thing. It wasn't a couple of boxes of soccer balls. I don't even know. It was 30 or 40 boxes. So you know, what do we do with it? Like, well, I mean, obviously we're going to go give it to them, but like, this is a lot. So now, so we kind of come up with a plan, the higher ups, because, you know, look, anytime you go outside the fob, it's dangerous. So you've kind of got to be careful. You know, it's, you know, do you want to put people at risk going and handing out soccer balls? And people call that, you know, winning the hearts and minds. And I almost wouldn't call it, I don't like calling it winning their hearts and minds as much as like, I'm really trying to show them that we are compassionate people and Americans do care about, you know, them as people. And I'm trying to be a representative of, you know, our entire nation and, you know, just trying to bridge that gap and helping them see us in a positive light, you know, and then, you know, let them have some fun and play some soccer. You know, people have played sports and competition forever. And, you know, a lot of times sports can help overcome, you know, anger or division and stuff like that. So, you know, so anyway, the higher ups, they came up with a plan, and, you know, obviously they wanted me to be a part of it. They, you know, say, hey, we got to get, you know, Miller out there so that he can be really some of it. So we visited 3 different villages and handed them all out. And I'll tell you, it was surreal. It was chaotic. And I have some pictures, and I'll, you know, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see these pictures now. I will, you can see them right now. And if you are not watching on YouTube, you can go to my Instagram page. I'll have them there. And then I'll also have them on my website under the show notes that you can look at these pictures. And there's just 3. But there's just, so many kids would surround us, and, you know, at the truck and, you know, oh, me, give it to me. And it's, I mean, it was exciting, but also when what's the right word? Like their desperation to get anything that you were handing out to them was so apparent that it was almost heartbreaking. You know, I wish I had more, I guess, if that's the case, but I already had a lot. It's not that just more, but, you know, it really was, they were so happy and excited and, you know, to receive this stuff, but you could just see that they were just so desperate that, you know, it was heartbreaking in a way. But, you know, these 3 pictures here, you can see a lot of the kids. You know, who knows? So that's 2003. I mean, we're in 21 now. I think that's, you know, about 18 years ago. So, you know, these kids, who knows if some of them are still alive? You know, who knows? They may have been swept up by ISIS. Maybe they fought for ISIS. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. But, you know, we really just wanted to build that trust and that relationship with them and show that, you know, Americans, that we are compassionate and we're not here to destroy your country, and, you know, to really just help you have a better life. I mean, you see this picture here, you know, this NCO is, you know, holding one of the children, which, you know, is a great thing. And it was a great experience. And, so, you know, so we did this, and then the other thing, then next I decided, okay, so this was pretty successful. So what else can I do? Well, I was a former school teacher, and I had access to, you know, people that were still worked in the school district. So I said, well, what if we got a bunch of school supplies? Because trust me, they had nothing. I mean, they may have had some chairs in a school, but they were just, I mean, most of the areas, again, were so poor. Saddam had all the money up top, and, you know, the people didn't get anything. So they just had nothing. So again, a whole lot of donations. People, you know, donated stuff. And then, you know, the people at Cocoa Beach High School in Cocoa Beach, Florida, where I used to teach, they collected a lot of stuff and, you know, paid for the shipping and shipped it all over. And it was, you know, pretty incredible to be able to go to these villages and go to their schools and see. I mean, they just dirt floors. It's things you see on TV that you just, you know, it breaks your heart and you just don't believe it almost. But this was me seeing it firsthand and obviously having to believe it, that this is what it was and what it was like for them. So this was, you know, another just opportunity to give them something, you know, and really what that something was hope. And that's why the title of today's show, Delivering Hope and Fun. I mean, the fun is the soccer stuff, but delivering hope. And, you know, through the school supplies and the soccer balls, the hope of a better life. You know, the hope of a safe life. I mean, I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of feelings that I have towards a lot of people in our own country. There's a lot of people take things for granted, and a lot of our basic civil liberties and the ability to, you know, have a pretty safe life. I know we could do better at taking care of lots of people. I understand that, but there's a big portion of our country that really pretty entitled and just expects a whole lot given to them and takes a lot of things for granted. And when you get a chance to see people like this, living like this, and, you know, a chance to give them some hope, it's incredible. It's a pretty uplifting experience, and, you know, it was very positive for me and the people, some of my teammates that got a chance to go out with me to, you know, hand this stuff out to them, because these people, they don't have hope. I mean, there are many of them. I mean, you can maybe see some in these pictures here. They don't have shoes. I mean, these villages are so, I mean, the basic villages were so poor. Any of the money was really consolidated. The Baghdad had some, but I mean, some of these other cities, but I mean, they just really didn't have much at all. And so again, my thought was, let's provide them some hope and then a little bit of fun with some soccer balls, and, you know, really thinking that long term, this was a good thing for us to come in there, whether the reasons were weapons of mass destruction or whatever the case is. You know, the end result was going to be good. And we were going to give them a chance to decide how they wanted to live. And, you know, I had no idea that it wasn't really going to end up like that. Not that it has ended any other way. But, you know, the last 18 years, that country has definitely been through a lot. And, you know, it really relates to, they've got, it's, again, this could be a whole nother show and discussion, but their religious differences between the Sunni and the Shia, and then of course the Kurds, and a lot of stuff that's going on with the other countries that are, you know, primary Shia and primary Sunni for their religious, it does cause a lot of problems. So I learned later with an experience, I was when I was an instructor, later in my career, I was teaching new soldiers how to work on the Black Hawk helicopter, and one of my students was a Saudi Arabian soldier that was learning how to be a Black Hawk mechanic, because they have some of those helicopters. And so we would ask them, and this was around 2008, 2009. And I asked them several times, like, how do we fix this? Because, you know, at that point, like, talk about insurgency. I mean, it was, you know, we'd already gone through the surge. I mean, you know, lots of people had lost their life on both sides. I mean, we're destroying the country. I mean, it's just, you know, I'm like, dude, how do we fix this? And he said, look, you don't fix it. I mean, you have to separate them. The Sunnis and the Shias hate each other so much. I mean, they will kill each other. And in his own country, like, their neighborhoods are still divided that way. You don't even go into the other person's neighborhood. And if you did, you would probably get killed and no one would even say anything about it. So that gives you a little bit of insight to, you know, the problems that we basically encountered after that, and trying to set up some type of national government that was fair to everybody. And so, you know, Saddam was the Sunni in the Ba'ath Party, but was the minority in Iraq, so was ruling with an iron fist, Well, now all these people, the Shia, want control. They're in the majority, and they're wanting to get back at all these Sunni, and it just, so it turned into a mess. And then now we're there. So, Al-Qaeda and the Taliban and anybody else that wants to take a shot at us, we're right there. So it's like their Super Bowl. We're there all over the country. They can just launch rockets, attacks, IEDs. It doesn't even matter. So it was, talk about just a challenging situation on so many levels. That it definitely was, after that deployment, it definitely was different. My mindset was different going back over there, especially because I was there from, late 05 through 06, the big surge. And, I was in Baghdad at that point, and, as a Black Hawk crew chief and doing a lot of missions and stuff in there. And, my mindset was definitely different. I didn't interact with the civilian population as much. And it was, I'm not saying like we were angry, bloodthirsty at that point, but it's like, how many more bad guys do we have to kill before y'all quit? Like, stop, and so then at that point, we really are just, focusing on, okay, what do I have to do to be successful in this mission to make sure we all come back home safe, and, stuff like that. So definitely a different mindset. But yeah, that first, first deployment, with those kids, and being able to deliver some hope and fun, really was an incredible opportunity. I'm glad it happened. And again, I couldn't have done it. All I did was went and handed it out. And then sent the letters home and just asked for the help. And then people back home just went crazy. And, which was great. It was fantastic. That shows who we are. That shows who we are. And that's what I love about America, about Americans. Generally speaking, we, really are compassionate people. We do love each other, even in this divided part of our country, where politics has got us really angry at each other. But, for the most part, that aside, we are very, compassionate and, love to help people. And, that was just my way of doing that. And it was really, really great that we could do that. And I'm going to share a couple of other stories later on that show the heart and the spirit and the mind of again, more American soldiers, and how at times when we are overseas and we are doing fundraisers for nonprofit organizations back home. So not while we're overseas. So not only are we focusing on our mission over there, but we, establish fundraising and raise, several $100s and close to $1,000 on one of them for nonprofits back home. But anyway, those are for the future. But it just, shows you a little bit about the American, fighting person's spirit, compassion, and who we are. And, that is what I want people to know more about. And really a big reason why I'm doing this podcast is to share this stuff and these stories with everybody, because most of us are just your average everyday Americans that have done some incredible things that nobody knows about. And they are just selfless, willing to do whatever it takes to accomplish the mission, take care of their teammates. And I just want to recognize them. I want y'all to know about them and, what all we have done, and, through some of our everyday activities. So, and I like sharing the funny moments, because trust me, we do a whole lot of funny things. Last week we talked about the shenanigans, and there's like more episodes of that coming, the shenanigans. We do all kinds of crazy, funny stuff. So, and especially to each other. I don't know why we do that so much, but we pick on each other quite a bit. But, so this podcast, this is, so a lot of these are, yes, my moments, but these are moments that many other soldiers and Marines and airmen and Navy, Coast Guard probably have done too. And this is so much of, it's not just my story, it's our story. And this is, the stories that America needs to know about our everyday heroes that fixed helicopters, that fueled helicopters, delivered the mail, processed pay, washed clothes for us. I mean, there's all kinds of things that made it happen. And while they're there, they're thinking about other people, and they're thinking about, nonprofits back home. They're thinking about the native people there in that country, and they're trying to help and make a difference, knowing that you actually might be helping somebody that's trying to kill you at night, which could happen. I mean, you think you develop those relationships, but you just don't know at the end of the day, but we try. So that's really, a big part of this podcast and the story, and what gets me excited and gets me, fired up to share and to tell you about, are, these people and these adventures and these things that we got to do and try to really make an impact on the world. And, maybe it did, maybe it didn't, I don't know, but, we sure as heck were going to try, and that was my thought process, and a lot of others was, what can we do to make this, a better place? Now, I wish maybe we could take a lot of that energy and focus at home right now. Maybe we could bring a lot of us home, and let's focus on, making our communities and neighborhoods and cities and states a little bit better than maybe they are. But, hey, that starts with you and me. That, honestly, look, I'm going to go off on a tangent here. Let's be just a little bit nicer to each other on social media, for starters. Let's be nicer to each other out in our communities. If someone needs some help, help them. If, someone, say good morning, say hello. Be a little bit more compassionate to our neighbors and our friends out there. I think it's happening more so than maybe the media portrays. But, let's do what we can to make our part of the world a better place. If you've listened to this show quite a bit, you've heard me say that several times. And that's where I do think it starts for us. So, but I would like us for us to do better at treating each other with a little bit more compassion and respect at home. So, but anyway, episode 20, delivering hope and fun to the Iraqi children, was an incredible experience. And I just can't thank all those people that, contributed to it. And I really have no idea how many did at the time. But, thank y'all so much for, showing the Iraqi children and the people, what Americans really are about, and giving them a little bit of hope and fun. So I definitely appreciate that. I appreciate all of you for tuning in and watching on YouTube and listening. It's, I'm humbled each and every day. The text messages and the DMs and the emails that I get with the support from people that are, watching and listening. And I am humbled each and every day. And I appreciate that. And I thank you. So continue to, send me your thoughts, send me your questions, and, any issues you want to hear about, you want me to do a show on. So, I'll do my best to answer your questions in an episode and stuff like that. So yeah, so you keep up doing that, and I'll keep sharing my stories and content. And we've got some really exciting things coming up soon. So I can't wait. I keep wanting to record more, and I want to record more and, publish them faster. So we'll see. Hey, 25 days in the wake up till I'm out of the Army, and like less than 2 months, we're heading back to Atlanta, and are about 2 months. So we're excited. I'm excited. I'm excited to bring you more content. So check me out on millersmilitary.com and on YouTube. My links are on my website. Subscribe to YouTube. I'm almost to 30 subscribers, which is awesome. Thank you all. I appreciate that. And you can follow all my socials from my website. So go to millersmilitarymoments.com. and you can follow everything there and check out all of our content, the show notes and everything else. So until then, until next time, and you have a great day, great weekend, and stay safe out there, and take care of each other, and look out for those that need help, and give it to them if they need it. Help your neighbor. Until then, see ya. Peace.